When discussing the most important song in the Beatles' history, many fans will immediately point to revolutionary works such as Tomorrow Never Knows, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, or even the legendary album Abbey Road. These recordings undoubtedly changed the face of popular music and demonstrated the Beatles' willingness to push the boundaries of what could be achieved in the recording studio. However, if the question is which song truly gave the Beatles their future, Paul McCartney's answer is much simpler. It was not a track filled with technological innovation or psychedelic exploration, but rather a remarkably simple debut single, Love Me Do.
Love me do. You know I love you.
It is difficult to imagine that there was ever a time when the Beatles were simply a young band from Liverpool struggling to gain attention. Before packed stadiums and millions of screaming fans chanting their names, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr spent their time performing in small clubs across England and Germany. Their experiences in Hamburg and later at the Cavern Club in Liverpool helped shape the band's musical identity. Night after night, they performed in front of audiences, honing their skills by playing rock and roll, rhythm and blues, and the popular music of the era. They had begun to build a strong local reputation, but regional success did not guarantee a future. To truly succeed, they needed something bigger, a hit record. When the Beatles released their debut album, Please Please Me, the world was finally able to hear the energy that had previously been experienced only by club audiences. The album captured the raw spirit and enthusiasm of four young musicians standing on the edge of something extraordinary. Many of its songs would later become classics. Some fans might argue that Twist and Shout was the album's most explosive moment, while others would point to tracks such as Please Please Me or I Saw Her Standing There. For McCartney, however, there was one song that stood above all the others in terms of its impact on the band's future. It Gave Us Somewhere to Go. Years later, McCartney reflected on the moment when the Beatles truly felt they had made it. He recalled how they had begun to gain enthusiastic support in Hamburg and Liverpool, but there was one achievement that made everything feel real. In Hamburg, we clicked. At the Cavern, we clicked. But if you want to know when we really knew we'd arrived, it was when Love Me Do got into the charts. That was the one. It gave us somewhere to go. The statement reveals something fascinating. A band's success does not always begin with its greatest work. Sometimes the most important achievement is the one that opens the door to the next opportunity. For the Beatles, Love Me Do was that door. Released in 1962, Love Me Do did not immediately dominate the charts. The song reached only number 17 in the United Kingdom, a figure that may seem modest when compared to the standards the Beatles would later set for themselves. Yet the achievement was enormously significant. For the first time, they had proof that their music could reach a wider audience. They were no longer just a local band from Liverpool. They were beginning to gain national recognition. The success also gave the music industry confidence that the Beatles possessed tremendous potential. The road to greater success had begun to open. After Love Me Do, everything changed rapidly. Their next single, Please Please Me, shot to the top of the British charts. Soon afterward, From Me to You followed the same path. Within a matter of months, the Beatles had transformed from newcomers to a national sensation. What began with one simple song evolved into a string of hits that seemed impossible to stop. Each new release brought them closer to superstar status. It was at this point that the foundations of Beatlemania began to take shape. Although success in Britain was a major achievement, the biggest prize still awaited across the Atlantic. When Beatlemania finally exploded in the United States, the world witnessed something unprecedented. Thousands of fans filled airports, streets, and concert venues just to catch a glimpse of the four musicians from Liverpool. Amid that wave of popularity, Love Me Do received a second chance to shine. The song that had once served merely as a first step eventually reached number 1 in the United States. For the Beatles, that moment marked a permanent change in their lives. They were no longer a British phenomenon. They had become a global phenomenon. History remembers the Beatles through the revolutionary works that came later. Albums such as Revolver and Abbey Road demonstrate just how far they evolved as artists. Songs like Tomorrow Never Knows opened entirely new possibilities for modern music. But before all of those experiments took place, before the studio became their creative laboratory, there was one simple song that made everything possible. Love Me Do may not have been the most ambitious song the Beatles ever wrote. It may not have been their most innovative or complex work, but according to Paul McCartney, it was the song that gave them direction, hope, and a future. And sometimes, that's what makes a song truly important.